Hi, it's Mark Pizzacalla here. Welcome to 3 Minutes with Mark. And what I want to talk about today is Treasury Charmer's red tape reduction for small business. Now, you might say, what's so exciting about that? This has been tried many times before. And here we are at school holidays. The announcement's been made. Now, he said a few things about it. We need to find ways to responsibly reduce unnecessary compliance burdens. We need to cut red tape to ease the compliance burden on our economy, make us more productive, and importantly, the Treasurer wants changes to be substantial, material, and measurable, not just tinkering around the edges. Now, I've been saying that for at least 10 years, so that's great news. So here are some tips that I would give the Treasurer. GST, thresholds and rates. Now, a snapshot of rates over different countries, you'll see that rates are quite high. Hungary, 27%, Finland, 25% or thereabouts, Sweden, Denmark, very high, 25%, UK, France, Austria, all at 20%. Australia is down at 10%. That's the rate it was introduced at back in 2000. So we've got to get back to the future. We've got to increase the rates, find ways to increase the rates, and have a look at thresholds. A review has to be done. We all know that New Zealand's got the purest form of taxation when it comes to GST, and that is it applies to pretty much everything. And we all know that Australia, it does not. So I know there'll be people that will say, well, what about health? What about education? These things are going to go up in prices, and they can. But the thing is, other measures can be put in place to help the lower socio-demographic to cope with those changes. The second thing I would recommend, if you're making changes to small business taxation, you've got to look at the life cycle of a small business. You've got to look at, when you're introducing rules and policies, the stage in which the business is at, from inception to survival to growth to maturity and eventually sale. So the simplest example that I give all the time is, look, there's no point introducing significant depreciation 100%, write off all your assets if you're at the startup stage. At the startup stage, that is absolutely of no use to you, and we all know that, and that's because you've actually got no money at the startup stage, you've actually got no profit, and therefore any increases in depreciation is actually quite useless to you. So these are the things that need to be looked at. And thirdly, and most importantly, when I speak to business around the country, the number one thing that's raised with me all the time is the numerous rules and regulations that we have in Australia, particularly in Victoria. So don't get me wrong and don't misquote me. I'm not saying that these rules and regulations are not required, but what I am here to say is that let's keep the important ones. Let's do a review, industry by industry. Let's look at reducing the regulations and burdens that are not necessary in order to start up a business, in order to carry on a business. Let's be commercial and practical, and let's get the job done. Now, look, the government is in a really important phase at the moment. It's got a significant majority. It's got the opportunity to make significant changes for the good. That's all I'm going to say for today. Also, remember, it is Talktober for the male hug, men's mental health. Please contribute, talktober.com.au. Look forward to seeing you next time. If you have any questions, let me know. Speak soon.